Erica Osborne, Think Real Estate team with Claudio, if he's over here, Bobby, and Justin, if they're all on the screen the way that it looks for me. For you guys, we're here talking with Justin and Bobby today. They're local investors here in Hampton Roads, and just trying to get our investor group some more info on who are the movers and shakers in town, what is everybody doing, how are they deploying their strategies, where they came from, all the good stuff, because just like me, you guys probably only get a small piece of time if you saw these guys at a meetup to chat with them. So we're going to dig in a little bit deeper with them today. So welcome Justin and Bobby and Claudio, of course. So guys, I guess we can start us off. Each of you introduce yourself, give us a little bit about your background and where you came from that got you up to being in Hampton Roads.
Sure. Hi guys, my name is Bobby Njoo. I was born in Indonesia, lived there for till I was 10, and moved in the States when I was 10, around 2001. I was super excited to see the snow, but then I moved to South Florida, so there's no snow there. Then I joined the Navy after 2 years of my college years, and then that's when I met Justin, and that's when our partnership starts.
Where were you guys when you met? Were you up here?
Yes, in Norfolk.
All right, Justin, bring us up to date, man.
All right, so I'm Justin Witt. I was born and raised in Porterville, California. It's a small town. I say small, but it's 60,000 people. It's probably big to some people. It's a lot smaller than Hampton Roads. But so I joined the Navy right after high school. I was about 18, and I got to my first ship, and that's where I met Bobby. We connected immediately, and we've been best friends ever since.
How long ago was that, guys? When you guys got
that was in 2014.
Yeah.
You guys have been here since 2014?
Yeah.
Man, you guys have been here a long time. I didn't know it was that long.
That is pretty long. When you guys were talking about getting on the ship and like meeting each other, I just envisioned that movie Step Brothers, where it's like, you like real estate? Do you like real estate? Could we just become best friends? But seriously, on that note, how you guys meet on the ship, and how does the conversation about real estate come up? Like, where's that fit into the entire relationship?
So it was so at first we weren't interested in real estate. We were just very financially conscious and literate, and we have that one thing in common. And investing was one of our interests also. And at that time, we didn't really know about real estate investing. We were talking about stock investing. But then Justin met a buddy, and he was doing real estate, fix and flipping, which turns out right now he's one of our partners. And he was mentioning, hey, you should check out real estate. At that time, it wasn't like wasn't very interested in fix and flip, but the other aspect of it that I didn't know was rental. And so I read a book, and then I was like, wow, this real estate investing sounds pretty legit. And, keeping an open mind as an investor in general, not labeling, if you're a stock investor or a real estate investor. I told him like, hey, yeah, this is legit. This can be something that we can get into.
Which book did you read, Bobby?
That first book that I picked up was the book on rental property investing by Brendan Turner. It's a Bigger Pockets book. Yeah, that one.
Very cool. Justin, same, or did you have real estate in the back of your mind before you before you started having that conversation with your buddy about investing in stocks?
Yeah, it was the same. I was full-time, like, loved the stock market, loved everything about it. And then I met our friend who's a fix and flipper. And I actually ended up moving in with him. And he was house hacking at the time. Mm-hmm. He was renting out all his rooms for about $650. He had 3 of them. So he was making pretty good money on that. And then, yeah, during the time I lived with him, he actually flipped a house. So I was going to the property, seeing it like that. And then, after witnessing it firsthand, that's when we were kind of like, we have to do this.
That's awesome. Hey, for the people that are watching that may not know what house hacking is, can you kind of give us a rundown on that?
Yeah, definitely. So house hacking is whenever you buy a house and you live in it and you rent out either your spare rooms or, like me, I rent out the other side of a duplex.
So this guy was your buddy, and he was making a profit off of you living with him, and you were okay with that.
Yeah, he was open. He told me all about it, so I was like, that sounds great. I want to do that.
It's
I mean,
funny
in
that
reality, yeah, house hack is a win-win for everybody because normally the person renting the room anyway is still banking, and at least if you're military, you're still banking a portion of your VAH,
Hmm.
that you wouldn't have been on the other side. So it is a win-win scenario. It just sucks sometimes to be the one renting where you're like, well, that's bullshit. Like I should be the one renting out my room. What the heck is this? It's an eye-opener, nonetheless.
I think that's how most investors get started, right? They're disgruntled
Renters.
renters, and they say, hey, I don't want any more of this. I want to be the person that's cash flowing. So we kind of talked about how you guys were introduced into real estate. Bobby, you talked about the first book that you read that kind of sparked the flame. What else did you guys do to kind of get educated to the point where you're at right now?
It was at first we were just books and podcasts. We didn't really get into the meetup until after a couple of years later. It was because of just schedule, deployment schedules. It's just something that it wasn't fitting right. But right after, so that all those years we've been just like cramming books, podcasts, forums, what have you. Then the first opportunity that we have time to actually show up to meetings, we finally took that first step. And actually, my first meeting was with you guys, so that was even more education and more motivation to actually get things rolling. So.
I mean, the best meetup in town. It's understandable why you would say that. Of course. All right, so you do all this education. You get all this knowledge crammed into your brain. What made you take the first leap, and what was your first project?
For me, after that book, I was just like my eyes were like wide open after that book. I know a lot of people say, that the Rich Dad Poor Dad book by Robert Kiyosaki, but I read that a while ago, but I was at an age where it didn't fully click. I wasn't ready enough mentally, but that book got me super excited about it. That 4 months after I'm reading that book, I, bought my first house. So I'm not sure what really like specifically made me excited about it, but it was just that I gotta do it. So first house, and then at that time, the only reason why I was able to do that is because at that time my girlfriend, now my wife, she was able to live in that house while we were out in deployment. So that was one of the biggest struggle that we had to face, is because if we buy a house now, how's our schedule gonna match up? Because at that time, Justin, he was single, he had no one. If we would have bought a house at that time, that house would have been vacant, or it would take a certain amount of time to actually get someone in there and look after the property and such. So I was at that time of my life, I was very thankful that I had her.
Bobby, you're frozen. Justin?
Bobby, we lost you.
He's frozen.
He is frozen. All right, while we wait, Bobby, you back?
Yep, I'm here.
All right, boom, you froze for just a second, in a lovely pose though. Don't worry. There was no vulnerable pose. It was lovely. All right, so you deploy. Your girlfriend at the time, now your wife, stayed in the house. Did you rent out? Now, was this your own personal residence that you bought at that point in time?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so your personal residence, you probably used a VA loan, right?
Yes.
And were you renting out any other rooms to anybody else? Or did you buy this as the purpose of your personal residence to rent out on the other side when you either moved away or moved on?
So the plan was to rent out other rooms, but this was I guess it needs some work. So it was at a point where I'm sure that no one would want to live in it yet, or I won't, I don't want anyone to live in it yet because I'm planning to do work in the future. So it was one of those things that I'm very blessed to have her. She was, willing to stay at a house that's, not very glamorous alone
That's when you
while
knew
I'm
she
away.
was going to be your wife.
Right. Then you know that. But yeah, so thank God. But yeah, so it took me about, a year and a half to actually renovate it. But we did end up renting two other rooms. It's a 3-bed, 2-bath, so we rented out 2 out of the 3 bedrooms.
So you still have it. Are you currently talking to us from a room in that house?
Yes.
All right, still have it. So you're house hacking.
Yes.
Currently in your own house. Nice. Did you do a lot of the work yourself on the house? Bobby, did we lose you again? Oh, there you are. So photogenic though when your screen freezes.
Sorry about that.
No, that's fine. We just didn't hear your answer. Did you do the work yourself in the house, or did you have contractors do it?
Yeah, I did most of the work myself. Me and my buddy, we actually had a deal. Alan, that's his name. We actually had a deal that he would live for free and he would help me fix up the place, which ends up working nicely.
Yeah, that's a great deal.
Yeah.
Alan's hacking a house hack.
Yeah.
Yep.
An investment strategy inside of an investment strategy inside of an investment strategy. I like that. All right, Justin, what about you, man? First project.
So, to back up a little bit, we were interested in real estate. Bobby bought his first house. We were both going on deployment. His girlfriend, now wife, was staying there. So I wasn't going to buy anything right away. So what I kind of did was I went on deployment, brought some books and all that stuff, studied up more. I got back, I signed a 6-month lease at an apartment. And so that way it'll give me enough time to find a house. So it was 3 roommates. It was $1,000, so each paid $333. And I did that for about 5 months. And then on the 5th month, I had something under contract and I bought it. It was a duplex, still house hacking it. I rented out the bottom and a spare room inside of it also, and on my side as well. I did some renovations myself. When I looked at the property, the downstairs unit, they were taking very good care of it. So I went to leave that one alone. And then the upstairs unit, it needed some work. Like it had linoleum floors that were peeling back, a lot of water damage in the kitchen. It was just really dirty. So I did some of the work myself. I redid the kitchen floor, painted the cabinets, regrouted the tiles, just small things, replaced some doors with Bobby, just to get it rent ready. And then I rented it out probably a month later.
All right, that's awesome. So still have it.
Still have it.
Still living it, probably talking to us from it, just like Bobby. Since everybody's kind of quarantined in their own area. All right, how do you make out on that property? Like
Good. It's good. I got it for $145. It's a duplex. It rents for $1,275 altogether. So I live here for free, and the mortgage is like $900.
That's awesome. Nice work. All that VAH just goes straight into your pocket.
Yeah, it was the 0 down VA, so it worked out pretty good.
Yeah, heck yeah, guys. All right, so first project for both of you. What's the first one where you actually fully come together and work on it?
So the first one that actually we pulled in together was a deal that Jonathan Njoo brought us, and it was one of those things that we looked at it as, oh man, this would be a great learning experience. Although it's still in it's definitely a progress of this deal because it's very unique where it's not an easily just a burr or a flip. It's one of those things that he found a deal where there's a possibility of doing new construction of 10-unit apartment. So that was the first deal that we actually got together. But as of an actual continuous, um, I guess, hands-on deal would be like this our current flip right now.
All right, tell us some details about that, if you're open to sharing some details.
Yeah, of course. Justin,
How
take
you
it away.
find it? I was gonna
Yeah,
say, yeah.
so
How you find it, how you funded it, where you're at right now, and your plan with it.
okay. So we found it. So fast forwarding 2 years from our original story, my buddy who I was living with, he's flipping now. He does it full time. So he built a lot of connections, through that. And he met a guy who's offloading a lot of properties. I had bought one from him previously, and he brought us this house where the guy who lived in it died. So we got it from him. It was just an off market, like word of mouth deal. We bought it for 85,000. I needed a full gut rehab. We're hoping to sell it for like 235, but it needed about close to 80,000 in work. So far, we demoed the entire interior. We've taken out all the subfloor, all the joists, all new girders, and we got it all framed up. We have our rough-in electrical done, our rough-in plumbing, HVAC. So we're just waiting on the city to start the inspections back up to move forward.
Do you guys, Bobby, I feel like this is where I saw a picture of you potentially on the roof. Is that
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Or do you guys do, how much of the work do you guys like to do yourself? Are you pretty hands-on, or is everything a contractor, but you piece here and there for you guys to do stuff? How do you like to contribute to these deals?
So for that, me on the roof portion, it was because it's one of those things we didn't foresee that we actually had to do any work. That was actually the shed. We didn't budget for the shed because it's just a shed. But but once we opened it up, we were like, oh my God, we got to do something. And then that something turns into more than, what we planned to. So yeah, we basically replaced the subfloor of the shed, some of the walls, which is just plywood, and the roof, which that's how I ended up there.
So pretty much you're building a separate tiny house behind this larger house is what
Right.
it sounds like. Okay.
Hey guys,
All right, you learn the most when you work on your own projects, in my opinion. Sean and I got our hands very dirty in the beginning of our investing career and realized very quickly what we didn't want to do and what we were willing to do. So, yeah, that's awesome. So, all right, so you guys are waiting for the city to kick back up inspections so you can continue on.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Are you finding things are going to plan, like per your original budget? Have you guys gotten good at budgeting construction costs?
There's a couple things we didn't account for. Like we spent so much on dumpsters. It's just something we didn't really expect. Maybe like 2 or 3 dumpsters, but we're at like 8 dumpsters now. So yeah, that's just one of the things that we didn't really expect. And another one that I'll share because it's pretty important is like the brick skirting around the whole house. When they replaced the foundation, they knocked out a lot of the brick skirting. That's just something we didn't expect. So there's just a couple things, like most of the framing and electrical, rough-in, all that's pretty standard. It's usually like around the same price, no matter what house, as long as it's around the same size. But the dumpsters, the brick skirting, things like that, and the shed is what we didn't really expect.
Yeah, they add up quick. Those dumpsters like $400 a pop. All of a
Yeah.
sudden, they're like,
And the neighbors all throw stuff in there.
oh, I can understand that. I've taken photos of addresses off of boxes from inside the dumpster just so I know what neighbor's throwing what.
you need to hit those guys back up with a rub. Like here's your trash removal.
You just mail them an invoice. All right, well, this is for your portion of my dumpster. Thanks a lot. Yeah, neighbors should definitely do that. All right,
Guys,
what are some, oh, go ahead, Claudia.
I want to kind of deep dive the deep dive. So the two of you and I have gone to take a look at a lot of houses, and you guys were dead set. Like, here's my parameters. This is what we're doing. This is our little unicorn, and we must find this in order to buy. You know, we had talked about flipping quite a bit, and it was like, we're not ready to do that. And then, you know, a couple of months later, you're like, hey, we got to flip. We're working on a flip. Walk us. Some people need to have all the answers before they take any action. And right now, based off of the progress of your business, you guys, you know, at the beginning, you were set to one parameter, but you were able to adjust to make this opportunity work. Can you kind of talk to us about just the thought process there and how you came to the conclusion that, hey, we can do this, and it'll just be an additional thing that is part of our repertoire?
Right.
Yeah.
So
Bobby,
He froze.
Bobby, you're back. All right, there you go. All right, start over, Bobby.
yeah, so after those, every time we spend those days looking at houses, Claudio, you know, getting back disappointed, we don't just like, oh man, you know, let's just try another day. We always like, all right, let's reassess what we're messing up on. Let's reassess if our specification is even possible. Let's reassess what's going on. And right, it is a unicorn, and we finally realized that, you know, maybe that, you know, we need to kind of adjust what we're looking for. So, you know, we continually changing things. We're trying to stay dynamic in what we're looking for and how we approach each deal. So that's why when this deal fell into our lap, although it was something out of our experience, you know, like a full gut rehab and such, we're thankfully that the reason why we went through in there is because our buddy, the one that brought us the deal, you know, we made partners on, and you know, he was able to provide some guidance. So we're not just like winging it, you know, pray as we go, but we actually had, you know, someone that can answer our questions and guide us through the process.
A little prayer never hurts either.
Oh yeah.
As you go along, how did you guys fund this deal?
The hard money.
Hard money, the whole thing hard money, or are you bringing any money to the table?
Yeah, we brought I think 20% down for the whole project cost.
All right, so the plan, obviously, with the flip, the plan is to sell it, pay off hard money. Everybody makes their stuff, right?
Yeah, we so for the hard money, we basically, I don't know if this is how everyone's doing it, but we did the 20% down, so it was about 30,000, and we start the project with a certain amount, say like 10, 15,000, just to get the ball rolling, and then we'll pull the money out of escrow as it progresses. Hey, Claudia, real quick, I want to touch on a couple of things you asked about our progression and how we like came to this. So there was like 3 major stages that we went through to do it, and it was, one, we were looking for small multifamilies, and we were thinking like, this is going to be good. We're going to park our money and you know, pay the 20% down on each property and just kind of sit there and get the rental cash flow. We did that. We both did it on our own a couple times, and then, you know, it just wasn't as transactional as we wanted. We weren't getting it back fast enough. You know, you put like 35,000 down, and then you're making, you know, $400 a month, something like that. So it just takes a long time. So we tweaked our strategy.
You're impatient, Justin.
Yeah. We had to tweak our strategy a little bit that way, and then we went to the burr, and we were trying to find the perfect burr and trying to get our money back and try to, you know, figure out how we can make that work. And then we weren't.
Justin, real quick, what's a burr?
Oh, sorry. You buy it, you renovate it, refinance it. Or sorry, rent it, refinance, and then repeat it.
Okay.
We're in the wrong order.
I hope I didn't throw you off, but go ahead.
No. So then when we were getting, you know, we were running the numbers, how if we leave money in, how does it look? If we refinance it, what does it look like? So we looked for so many lenders, we tried so many things, and then we just kept getting stuck on the fact that it was just costing so much for the reserves because the cash flow was so low after the refinance. We just didn't like the the margins that it was giving. So then that a combination of that and what Bob was saying is how we kind of got to this path that we're on now.
Listen, guys,
Well-
buy and hold isn't sexy. Borrowing takes a long time. Flipping is the sexiest of the options. It just is what it is.
Yeah, there's no Burr HGTV show, right? Like
No.
it's
There
one of
should
those
be.
things-
There should be.
It's like 30 years later, we have this thing paid off. The fix and flip is for most people when they hear about real estate investing, that's what they dial into. But what you guys are talking about here is like, hey, listen, we went after this thing with this strategy, and we reflected on the results, and it wasn't the results that we wanted. We wanted to expedite this, so we rolled this into our investing strategy, and this is the result. Listening to you two guys, first and foremost, Bobby, how old are you?
29.
Justin, how old are you?
24.
You guys, man, this is so amazing, right? You guys are babies, you're pups, and
Marcus just had a birthday, so he's reflecting now on on age.
to have this level of education, to be pursuing something this passionately, and to be able to jump on a video interview and provide this wealth of knowledge to individuals. This is amazing. The first guest that we had on the Investor Deep Dive, military officer, close to retirement, established business, right? And that speaks to a crowd. But you guys are speaking to the crowd that's just getting into the Navy or has a couple of years in the Navy, or maybe that they're not in the military. They're just a younger generation that is working a 9 to 5, and they're sitting there and they're beating their heads on the table. Like, this is not enough. You guys are taking this action. You're building a foundation for success for the future, while being full-time in the military, which is not easy because you could be working on a project and get deployed, right? Like, it's awesome. And you're doing it with a flexibility that says, this is where I want to go, but the road to success is not a straight line. It's, this crazy zigzag, and you guys are adjusting to fit the needs of your business and your lifestyle. So that was it. I just went on a tangent. Sorry.
I know, that was motivational. All of a sudden, I'm like,
Yeah, that was.
I gotta go, guys. Get some work on here. Guys, all right. So here's the deal. As when I started out, a lowly old investor all by myself. So you guys off the bat already said, man, I don't want to do this alone. I want to come into it and do it along with somebody. What have you found has been the best thing about having somebody to bounce stuff off of and having each other as partners? Can you kind of talk about your partnership a little bit and what you each bring to it?
Yeah, sure. So the thing that I found like the most valuable is having someone to kind of brainstorm.
I knew where he was headed. Brainstorm.
Am I back?
There you are, I guess. All right. Brainstorm was the last word we heard from you. Continue.
Okay, yeah, someone to talk to, someone to brainstorm with you, and if you have any doubts, you can say it loud instead of just having it stuck in your mind and kind of ruminating. And then and Justin would sometimes like, we can just do this, and vice versa, and then we're like, okay, awesome. And then another thing is accountability. We like to keep ourselves accountable with each other. Sometimes when I'm feeling down and out, Justin would say like, hey, we still got to do this. And then same thing, we keep each other, accountable so we can move forward. Even sometimes we don't feel like it.
Justin, you have anything to add?
Yeah, I like to think like me and Bobby work so well together because Bobby's like big picture. He knows where we want to be at 3 years from now. He knows where we want to be at 10 years from now. and I'm the one that like, what are we gonna do today, Bob? We still got to do this today. We gotta do this today. So it's you know, it's kind of like I'm the task driven guy. Like we still got to do this today, and Bobby's thinking this is how it's all going to come together. So I like that part of what we do. And then the thing about us too is we bring a pretty big network from our work, his work. It's not like we work the same job with the same people. We have our own networks that we both bring. And with me and Bobby, sometimes one person might want to cut out early, and I'll say, or he'll say, let's just work an extra hour. Let's just get this done. And it's so easy to say, like, yes, I'll work another hour because my partner's asking me to work. And then that's the hour where we're most effective, where we're actually getting the majority of the stuff done in that last hour. So that's a great thing about what we have.
Hey guys, we didn't talk about the life outside of work and real estate. So Bobby, you're married. Justin, you have a girlfriend. What does that look like? Because those are three very important time commitments. What does that look like?
There's life outside of real estate?
Husband, boyfriend, and military personnel.
Yeah, so thankfully, again, that we're at a situation where we're in shore duty and we can leverage the times that we have to do the business. But at the same time, not gonna lie, I'm not a perfect husband. So sometimes I would spend, too much time on the business instead of, focusing on family. But, it's always like a balance struggle. But, I'm blessed to have a wife like Courtney that, she understands.
You better finish that point, Bobby. Your wife's gonna watch this and be like,
Courtney's not going to be pleased. All right, Bobby, you were talking about Courtney.
Yeah,
she's super understanding.
right. Yeah. So she's about it. She knows why I'm doing this. The true reason why I'm doing this is, to be better off in the future. And if we spend a little bit more time working right now, we can spend more time with each other in the future. So
That's awesome. And you've dragged her to go see a couple of dogs with us on the road trip.
say again.
I said you've dragged her along to go see some dogs on the road trip with us.
Oh yes.
Honey, paint the vision. What is this going to look like?
That might have scared her off.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's tough to see sometimes.
Justin, what's going on, man? Is your girlfriend even committed to real estate? Does she do real estate, bro?
Yeah, she is. She doesn't understand it fully, but it's okay. I know she knows that me and Bobby are on a tight schedule, from now between when we get out of the Navy. Mm-hmm. So we've just been working really hard, and she knows that, and she respects it. So she comes along and helps every once in a while, like painting or doing something small. So
that's awesome.
She's there.
So it sounds like it's pretty important to have your significant other involved in the business in one shape, way, or form. Like maybe it's not getting in there, rolling up the sleeves and painting, but maybe just having some conversations, bouncing some ideas off of them. So it's not like this is one life that I'm living and then my other life. It's kind of, this is the life that we're living. This is something that we're doing to move us collectively forward, right?
Absolutely. Oh yeah, definitely.
Very cool.
All right, guys. What is the future of your partnership? You mentioned, Justin, that Bobby has the vision. He's a visionary for what the future holds for you guys. What is end goal probably isn't the right word, but what is the path? What are you envisioning, Bobby? Where are you guys headed?
So we know that we both talking about this. We know that we don't want to just have just this huge company and just keep growing just for the sake of being big. But it's just something that we want to be at a scale where it can just sustain our life. And we like doing this. We like every aspect of it, and we're having fun doing it. And we just want to get at a point where we can keep doing it at the same time, without sacrificing our, standard of living, our
Relationships.
am
All
I
right,
back?
so you're back. You're back. Justin, finish your sentence. What a good partner. We just finished your sentence for you. All right, so flipping though, if you guys are flipping right now, end goal, you want something that's going to sustain your lifestyle, which kind of in my mind screams cash flow. So what is, right? I mean, so what is the plan to transition, or what's the plan for the flipping feeding the potential buy and holds, or how are you guys going to morph into something that provides you with a shit ton of cash flow
So
in your future lifestyle?
yeah, so to answer that, our current focus is like to really ramp up our off market, like marketing through cold calling and stuff we've been, just getting into now. So just to provide us with that constant deal flow, so there's always something coming in, and then from that point we'll either flip the house, rent it out, or assign it to somebody else. So basically just starting that river, and then finding a home for each home.
Right.
And what are your efforts for your marketing for that? Because I realize wholesaling and lead sourcing for yourself is quite a it's quite a task, and a very expensive and time-consuming task. So how are you guys tackling that? If you want, you don't have to share your secret sauce.
Sorry, it was. I didn't know it was for Justin or not. But right now we went to the courthouse steps and basically trying to pull the list we can get. And yes,
Not
you're right.
right
It is
now.
tasking. Say again.
Not right now.
Not right now.
We
Not
still
right
have
now.
a bunch of lists we got to get through.
Yes, we have a backlog of data that we still need to process. We also do driving for dollars, mailer. So it is quite tasking and time consuming. It is something that we've been talking about, maybe outsourcing it to someone. So we're at a stage right now, but we're at a point where we still can afford doing it ourselves, chipping away a little bit with the cold calling and processing the data and stuff. So
what kind of technology do you guys use in your business, either for skip tracing, the driving for dollars, the mailers, analyzing? What kind of technology do you guys utilize?
Yeah, so we do a lot of our stuff on Google Drive. Bobby and I have a bunch of folders where we put all of our our current leads and stuff like that. He's also built spreadsheets for us. Like, I know when we were searching for all of the burrs, we have like a hard money loan calculator. You just put in the interest rate and the time, and it adds it into your your rehab budget and stuff like that. But right now we're keeping all of our leads in Excel documents on our lead folder, and then once we make contact with them and it's good, they're interested, then we'll put them to Podio, and we'll track them through Podio. Just put basically a time to follow up, and we'll follow up through that way.
It's awesome. For those that don't know what Podio is.
What's that? Oh, what Podio is? Podio is like a CRM, basically allows you to track your customers or your clients, and in there you can choose a real estate specific theme, and they'll have how much you put in an offer for, if you made an offer, what their motivation to sell is, why they're selling, things like that.
Very cool. Hey, so as individuals, why are you reaching out to guys? Why are you reaching out to clients as opposed to just letting a real estate agent find something on the MLS for you guys? Share that with everybody that's watching.
Yeah, guys, why aren't you using real estate agents?
because one of the biggest thing is less competition, because once a seller goes towards go to a realtor and they're just going to start marketing at the MLS, then you have all these competitors. It has high visibility where competition is high, and that deal that would started out as a good deal becomes so overinflated where it becomes okay deal or not a good deal.
So, Justin, you said, "Hey, listen, we're doing this to control our lead flow." Why is that important for investors?
Oh, because that's their only source of survival right there. So once you control that deal flow, everyone's looking for a deal. So once you control that part of it, you have so many options. You can flip the house, you can assign it to somebody else for a fee, you can rent it out, you
Yep.
can do everything, but you have to have that part of the puzzle.
So as individuals are building a business, one of the things that they want, you don't want the roller coaster. You don't want to be on a roller coaster ride when you're scaling a business or building a business. You want to find some sort of predictability, a pattern per se, that you can then deploy additional resources and assets and say, if I pull this lever, then this is going to be my result. If I pull this lever, this is going to be my result. By you guys controlling the lead flow into your business, you're building that the predictability in the business. So you can say, this year, if we continue to close at this rate, we're gonna the business is gonna generate $100,000 in revenue. If we double down on our efforts, then next year we can do $200,000. So I just wanted to kind of hit at that point, right? We asked the question, and it sounds funny coming from us, like, well, why aren't you using real estate agents? Well, for investors, real estate agents are just a part of their success, right? Maybe they find a deal on the MLS. Maybe you're lucky enough that a horde of real estate investors are not bidding on the same project as you, but it's only a piece of the business. The experienced investors go a step further and say, hey, listen, I'm not going to wait on my real estate agent to send me a list of properties that they think might fit my bill. I'm going to go out there and try to find them myself. And there's still going to be a partnership, right? Because you guys, for a bit there, it was like, hey, I found this, can you confirm my ARV numbers? I'm like, yeah, absolutely, let's go. And so there was still a relationship there. But you were at the front end. You weren't sitting back waiting for somebody to bring you business. You said, I'm going to go create my business. And that's why it's important for any investor to control the lead flow of their business. It's going to be dependent on the amount of time that you have available to put into that, because there's a lot of work that's involved with that. You guys said, we have a backlog of people that we have to reach out to, but if you reach out to 10 people consistently on a daily basis and you get one deal a month out of that, then, it was all worth it, right? Would you agree?
Oh yeah.
Oh yes, definitely.
Perfect. Erica was asking about systems. Are there any other systems that you guys are utilizing besides Google Drive and Podio?
For the we use True People Search for looking up phone numbers.
Okay.
Basically,
How'd
yeah.
that work?
It's it's free. That's all I can say.
Do you put in a name and then you press a button and then you pay for the information you get on the other side?
Oh yes, yeah. You can track it by name, by address. It's pretty, and it shows the who's related. So if you can't specifically reach out to that person, you may be able to. If you think it's a really good deal and it's worth the time and effort, reach out to the relative, see if they can connect you to that person, the owner.
Was it hard for you guys at all starting out, excuse me, having those conversations with property owners, or were you pretty natural at it? How did you get good at it?
Go ahead.
I could say I'm far from natural at it. Bobby could tell you the first time I talked to a seller we were talking to, like negotiating face to face, I was getting choked up and everything else. But since then, we've been doing a lot of cold calling and things like that. And it's been a lot easier. Having several people cuss you out a day, it's just becoming pretty normal. And, now, Bobby's helping me out a little bit with the communication as far as face to face and how to do that. But we're definitely getting better. Bobby's a little more natural than I am.
Did you guys create your own scripts, or did you go kind of off of somebody else's?
It was a combination. It was a combination, yeah.
All right, so Bobby, the natural, the charisma guy. Not saying you don't have charisma, Justin. Bobby's the natural seller conversation guy then, huh?
I wouldn't say I'm that natural.
You're a closer. I'm going to bring you in when I need you. You're the closer. That's kind of how that goes. All right, well, that's amazing, guys. I mean, again, creating your own deal flow, that's badass. It's so nice to see investors being so proactive and not just expecting deals to arrive in their lap, realizing that if you want to find some good stuff, you've got to go out and do the work, put in the effort. And that's not easy. Man, I mean, I hate those cold phone calls. Yeah, I do the same thing, Justin. I get all flustery, even though I know what I want to say and my brain has it perfectly in the script. Man, I don't think it matches anything that comes out of my mouth. That's for darn sure. But all right, guys, what's something you would do differently if you were to start all over again? Take baby Bobby, baby Justin, no real estate experience, just after your knowledge stage. What would you do differently?
The only thing that I wish I would have done was to start earlier. But other than that, every mistake, like I saw you, Claudio, like even
I was
early.
like, I want to take this thing back to grade school.
Well, yeah, like just every mistake, I just take it as a learning lesson. It was just one of those things that, I coulda, shoulda. It's just, it happened now, so it doesn't happen again in the future. And it's one of those things that you just gotta take it right then and there and just carry it on. So, but yeah, that's the only thing I wish I would have done is just, start thinking about it earlier.
Yeah, for me, it would be the education piece, right? So like in the beginning, we studied, all the financial part of it, how to analyze the deals, how to go through the deals, we know how to pull the ARVs and things like that. But what I wasn't comfortable with is like, once we got into our first flip, it's like, okay, we go in there with the subcontractors and they're asking like, where do you want this stud? Or, how high do you want this concrete block? And then that's something we're just like, oh, I don't know. I didn't think I had to know any of that. I thought you guys knew that, so that's just one of those things. Is like a part of the education piece. I would add in, the specific, like a little bit about the rehab, because the rehab is the most important part, because it's almost in every transaction, whether you buy and hold and you hold it for 10 years, you're going to have to, rehab it at some point. And so just focusing more on like how to rehab the properties, like knowing what to tell your subs when they ask, just so you can guide them.
Justin, Bobby, you had a little bit of construction know-how before you got into the business. Justin, you weren't in construction at all, right? It was like one of those things like, yeah, no, I'm good.
Yeah, no, I'm good. Now I am.
But so again, it just kind of speaks to the business. You don't have to know it to get started. You pick it up along the way. And what you're talking about is kind of like, I wish I would have started earlier, so I would have had the experiences now to be past this, right? That's awesome. You guys are in an environment right now, being in the military, that it's a team sport, right? What does that look like from a? We joke that you guys are younger, but there's individuals that are coming into the military that are 18, 19 years of age, and they're probably looking up to you guys as their mentors or, superiors or whatever the situation is, like their elders. Whenever I'm around you guys, you're passionate about real estate. You're talking about real estate all the time. What does that look like for the folks that are just getting around you?
I truly believe that if you're in the military, getting that steady paycheck, and unless you don't have like any outstanding crazy debt or crazy student loan debt, and if you're single and you're still young, and you get that BAH, if you're at a certain rank, if you get BAH without getting married, you'll be able to do this. And I always tell themselves, like, if it doesn't have to be real estate, it just have to be being financially literate and just being financially be in a better financial situation than when you are right now, and just trying to open their mind about, it's not you get it and you spend it, you get it, you spend it. No, it's not about that. It's, you can get out of this, as what, Robert Kiyosaki said, the rat race, right? Just trying to open their minds about it's a rat race and there's a possible way of, you know, getting out of it, not just the conventional, you know, paycheck to paycheck, work paycheck. There's a way out.
That's awesome. Justin?
Yeah, I think just, being in the military, now is the time to save that money, because once that's like the foundation for all investing is, saving the money. And I think, I don't know from experience, but what I've heard is that when you get older, it gets harder. So,
Oh,
save
look
the
at
money
you.
now. So save the money now, and then now is the perfect time to take that risk. Like Bob was saying, that once you have that steady paycheck, and you just surround yourself with people that know what they're doing, you can take that risk.
Very cool. Guys, is there anything that as we wrap up this episode, is there anything that you want to kind of just speak from the heart? Anything we haven't covered that you'd like to share?
I want a couple recommendations from you guys too, which could float into that. I want some book recommendations, podcasts, YouTube channels. I want some recommendations of things that you're paying attention to, in case nobody's heard of them, or even just to solidify if somebody is reading it or listening to it, that they're on the right track. What are some things that you guys like to listen to and soak up for your continuing education?
Sure. So when I was younger, I'm not much of a reader. People like to read novels and stuff, but I didn't know that I like to read unless it's a personal development book. So I wouldn't be where I'm at right now, or even have the same mindset if it wasn't for those books. So the education aspect of it. So me telling those younger guys that, hey, it's not about paycheck, spend it, paycheck, spend it. I can tell them all I can until I turn blue, but unless they put that education themselves and have the education stay in their mind and change their mind, it's one of those things that it would definitely help to propel them to that direction. So what the books that really, really like changed my mind about the aspect of time and money was The 4 Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. That one just propelled me to, like, I need to do some stuff with small business. But at that time I didn't know what it was, and at that time I didn't know you can do real estate investment business. I thought it was either business or investment, but there's such thing as both. And I was like, that's
Justin, jump in.
That's crazy, and it blew my mind.
yeah. And yeah, and I think I gave you the copy, right, Justin?
I think so.
Yeah. It was during deployment, and I was like, you gotta read this. I was like,
Oh, the
so
4 Hour Work Week.
yeah, that
Okay,
one.
I didn't know if you said something when you cut out or not.
Oh.
Yes, I read
You're
that.
just agreeing to agree. Yeah.
But yeah, that's the book that I highly
Book.
recommend if anyone listening and haven't read it yet.
Yeah, I have my book for the financial education part of it is The Richest Man in Babylon. It's like an old book, but it's just so great about the financial education that it gives. And if I had to do a real estate related book, I would say the book on managing rental properties by Brandon Turner. Even if you don't want to manage your properties yourself, it's just good to know everything that you can do or that you're not supposed to do.
We didn't even talk about that. You guys are self-managing, right?
I self-manage the other part of my duplex, the one that I live at. That's the only one I do. The other units, I have a property manager for.
Okay. Bobby, same?
Oh yeah, partially self-managing and partially have property management.
Would you guys recommend, excuse me, a newer investor coming in to dabble in the management at the beginning, just to get some experience with that and to see how that goes, or just would you recommend handing over to a property manager and kind of just managing the manager?
I say if you have the time and the strength, you're welcome to try to manage it yourself. But I think a good midpoint was, just commit to that property manager the first year, trying to learn like, how what type of issues that you'll have, and then once you kind of like, reassess like, oh, I probably can handle that. Oh, I probably have the time to do that. Then you can self-manage.
Very cool. Hey guys, where can people find out more about you?
We have our Facebook page, Mutual Venture, and also we're on Instagram also.
Okay. If
Instagram
somebody,
is it at Mutual Ventures? Venture?
Yes.
Plural?
Yes.
Singular?
Singular,
Singular?
yeah.
And then I'm sure you have your email address, which is
Oh, yes, mutualventurerei@gmail.com.
are you guys open to, if somebody's watching this video and they say, man, I connected with those two dudes, I really want to reach out to them and just talk real estate. Is that something that you guys are open to?
We'd love that.
Awesome. Well, hey guys, I want to thank you so much for being our guest today on the Investor Deep Dive. Super motivational, all the stuff that you shared. I wish that as I was younger, when I was younger, back in my days, that I
and
was
Justin reminds us how old we are.
and I was surrounded around guys like you guys that have your eyes fixed on a goal that you're moving towards, and just dialed into like this. It's super. You guys give me hope for the future. It's super exciting to kind of see you guys just going after it and designing a lifestyle that you want to live, and designing a business that flows through your family. Yeah, much appreciated. Thank you guys for being on here. For those of you watching, if you're a current real estate investor and you want to be a guest on the Investor Deep Dive series, shoot us an email, info@thinkreteam.com. info@thinkret.com. Thank you guys again. We hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you for having us.
Later.
What are you gonna hang